What is going on, guys? DragonTamerBlayde here, back for more Elder Scrolls Legends, and today, I'm not going to win very many style points with this deck, but it does have a fair amount of new cards in it, so I guess I can get some bonus points for that. Saw a suggestion on the last video to start doing more deck techs. Well, I don't think I can do a true deck tech, because most of my decks I literally just built on the spot, so I feel like I'd be kind of talking out of my ass if I tried to give you guys a true breakdown. Figured I could like go over the list some and kind of give you some of my thought process on why I chose the cards, what we're trying to do. Sometimes it can be a little self-explanatory, but you know, we're gonna give it a shot. And if you guys think this is valuable or if it's interesting and you want to see me do it more often, just let me know down below in the comment section. We'll keep it rocking and rolling. So first new card we've got is Cloak and Dagger. This could easily be a Scimitar. It could easily be a Dagoth Dagger. I think any of those three are fine options. Originally, I had Cloak and Dagger in the deck because I wanted to test out Alikir Survivalist. I wound up cutting it for Doomfang Ally. Maybe I mess around with it again at some point. Because I think Alikir Survivalist could push some surprise damage with like a couple of these, and maybe we'll still try and find a way to put it in there actually. I just don't know what I would cut. I have no clue what I'd cut actually. Even though Morkel Gatekeeper is better, I think we're going to cut that, and we're going to run Alikir Survivalist anyway, because I just talked myself into wanting to try it out. I think it's strictly worse, but again, I'm here to be interesting. So, we're running Cloak and Dagger because it's two separate items for Alikir Survivalist, as well as you get to split your buffs up. Sometimes we're just going to want the health to trade into something, and sometimes we're going to want the attack. Sometimes you want both. I'm willing to pay the one extra Magicka for flexibility. Most of our deck is pretty cheap, so I think after the first turn or two, paying one extra Magicka isn't a big deal with these. You got your Afflicted Elite, Circle Initiate, 5th Legion Trainer, Orc Clan Captain, Riftthane, Stormcloak Vanguard as your 2-drops. These are all pretty standard for aggressive decks. These two, 5th Legion Trainer, Orc Clan Captain, kind of carry most aggressive decks. Riftthane, great stats for the cost. Stormcloak Vanguard, you're really just paying him because he gives you 4-cost 5/5, and the charge isn't always irrelevant. Afflicted Elite, 2 damage, decent aggressive stats, and Circle Initiate, you're paying for that beast mode. Crusader's Assault, purely in here because I like to draw a ton of cards. The reach is not insignificant, but you're mostly doing this to draw a bunch of cards and enable trades that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to do. Sometimes you'll just draw one card from this, but the +2 will allow you to take out a guard without having to trade 2 creatures in. Doomfang Ally. For the most part, we're playing him because most of the time in this deck he's a 3-cost 5/3, and that's like a slightly worse pit line, but you're playing pit line for the 5 attack anyway. So Doomfang Ally being a 3-cost 5/3 I think is fine a lot of the time for this deck. It's just putting some solid stats on the board. And then in addition, if it rolls Drain, a 3/3 with Drain is not great, but it's solid and aggressive mirrors. And we have 9 Crusader cards in our deck, so that's a solid amount for hitting both the +2/+0 and Drain. A 3-cost 5/3 with Drain is fine. It's actually pretty solid. Eastmarch Crusader, aggressively statted, keeps drawing us cards. If you haven't noticed, I like in my aggressive decks to just constantly have cards churning and cycling. Pitline, better obviously in token decks, but we have enough cheap stuff that I think we shouldn't have too much of a problem triggering this thing a lot of the time. We're not playing Raiding Party, which I probably should consider, but you kind of run out of room for stuff when you're testing new cards, and one of the new cards we are testing is Unstable Madman. I'm sorry about hitting that mic. Plopping this guy next to, or just plopping this guy with a dagger makes him transform right away, and I want to see how much this guy can snowball. I think he's got a lot of potential. Even just coming down as a 3-cost 3/3 is fine sometimes, and if we can trigger him even with these guys on the board, I want to see what this guy can do. Withered Hand Cultist, because we're only playing one action. Otherwise, this protects us from control decks. Buys us a couple extra turns. Helps keep that Ice Storm at bay. Alikir Survivalist, I already talked about a little bit. I almost wanted to play Lower Kent and Smith because of this card, but I was already pretty crowded on 3s. I think this card is interesting. You could drop this down, and if you have like Cloak and Dagger, you can give +1/+2, no, +1/+3, +3/+1, and then +2/+1 for 3 magic on the next turn. That's a lot of stats to dump onto one guy. We got Dawnbreaker because it's amazing. It's +4/+4, can get some, what's it called? The 3-cost 2/5 in purple. The Skeleton with Guard, you can get him out of the way. That's your main use out of this card. Can kill Haunting Spirits, potentially. Just really good. Same with Reeve. Snowball 4-drop. Can win you the game on its own sometimes if your opponent can't instantly answer it. Ulfric's Housecarl helps you continue to draw tons of cards. And then Underworld Vigilante, because we need some stuff at the top end of our curve to try and close some games out. Without further ado, let's hop on into the games. And again, if you guys like me kind of going over the deck, why I chose what cards and what their ideal use for is, let me know down below. It's something we can start mixing in. I just don't like to try and present myself as an authority on a deck that I haven't tested yet, if that makes sense. But I have no problem going over my thought process. As long as you guys know, like, all of my decks are always a work in progress because I'm always building new ones. But let's see how this thing can do. I feel like it should be at least solid because most aggressive decks in this game are solid. And this has most of the skeleton of a traditional Aggro Crusader. So I feel like it should be mostly carried by that, even if like my cards or my choices were bad, if that makes sense. I don't think keeping Ulfric's Housecarl is actually the worst here. And now having a Rift Thane for turn 2 is really good. Although chances are he's going to have a Firebolt to answer this, but what are you going to do? I like Reeve, because if we're not going to be drawing on turn 4, dropping down Reeve to just try and win the game is really good. But again, I expect a Firebolt or a Blackhand Messenger here.
By the 8th, they will meet their maker.
Interesting. Instead, we see a Daggerfall Mage.
For the Rift!
I am ready to join the circle.
Play that down, because even if they trade into that, next turn we can go 5th Legion plus Stormcloak Vanguard, and potentially push for a whole bunch of damage.
By the fires of oblivion.
Even though they can take this out, it's still not the worst thing for us.
Training is over.
The North
It's time
must
to
take
act.
back Skyrim for Ulfric Stormcloak!
And now they can use the tome onto this and trade, but we've already pushed for a whole bunch of damage here. And if they use the tome, they're eating up their entire turn just to trade into this. Oh, they're actually a Lightning Bolt. Which I think is pretty sweet, because now it gives me more turns of swinging, unless they Firebolt and swing here. Oh, they curse and swing. I haven't seen curse played in forever.
Out upon it.
Very interesting. I like it.
Shale
So we're probably just relegated to Shadow Lane duty for most of the rest of the game.
For
So let's just take this out,
Stormcloak!
and we'll drop down Reeve. I'm playing Reeve because if they play a guard over here that we need to trade into, we can buff Reeve up with Crusader's Assault to make him 5 attack, and if he gets the breakthrough, the damage from his ability also counts as Pilfer, so we could potentially draw 3 cards from Reeve next turn. Oh, this is Factotum Archer. I assume he goes plus attack and heals, maybe? Oh, plus health and heals. It's another... Oh, I guess he can use the Tome of Alteration on this guy next turn. So what are we looking for next turn?
Taste my blade.
I can go Ulfric's Housecarl plus Afflicted Alit. Which I think is fine. Draws me another card, 6 more power on the board. Actually draws me 2 cards. And getting Dawnbreaker and Orc Clan Captain is pretty ideal. And again, if he wants to use up his tome trading into this, that's an incredibly slow turn that I don't think he can really afford right now. Haven't really gotten to play any new cards just yet. We'll see. What else am I thinking for next turn? Ugh, that's scary. But if he doesn't answer this game could be over.
Gall and Pox.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So he can't quite win the game here.
Let them die with their false wings.
Let's go for the Doomfang ally.
The Reach, adapt and survive.
We're gonna have a 5-3 with Drain. I split these two up like this because now Orc Clan Captain plus Crusader's Assault makes either one of these guys lethal at the moment. Although he will be going face for 6. But we can mostly overcome that damage next turn. Rift Thane. He's got 14. We still can get to lethal next turn. Obviously depends on what he has to play. He could hit us with a lightning bolt on this guy, which would be a little unfortunate. Let's see what 10 clubs has for us. Hopefully he's going to fall 1 club short. Keep an old 9 iron in the bag. So he's going to gain more health here. Can he still get to lethal? I think so. If he has another factotum, I think we'll fall short. And unfortunately, that is our reality.
What have we here?
But we can gain enough health where I don't think we're worried about dying next turn because of this guy.
Orcs at the ready.
Alright, so this is 14. So I think if we
For
swing
my
with this,
kinsmen.
and then we use double Crusader's Assault, we have lethal.
A fine battle.
Let them die with their false king.
This guy put in work this game. That's our beefy Doomfang ally doing some decent work. So we got to see a new card. We didn't get to see the Unstable Madman or Cloak and Dagger just yet. But we have another game coming up, so we still have the opportunity. Deck felt pretty solid there. Our opponent even healed for 6, and we were able to... No, they healed for 2, 4, 6, 12 damage, and we still pushed through and won on turn 8. Pretty decent. For healing for 12, so we dealt 42 total damage. It's pretty tempting to keep Crusader's Assault in my opener, but I'm going to pass. Because if we draw well enough, we don't need to drop down extra cards just yet, if that makes sense. We can ring, play this, and then ring at the moment. Depends what our opponent's going to have for us. Sputurnator. I love having 5th Legion Trainer in hand on 1. Especially with the ring. I like it even more when Dawnbreaker's involved.
Training is over.
Making this thing
It's
harder to
time
remove
to
is just
act.
like... mwah. Let's hope that they don't have a turn 2 play and we can just start going crazy. Double bolt. I mean, that sucks, but at the end of the day, like... They just spent 2 cards to answer our 1. We might have a potential possibility to see how well Alakir Survivalist can do. Unless I'm just dropping Reeve next turn.
Care to make a friendly wager?
Do you have a curse? I mean, I'll take that.
They shall rise.
Putting in the Shadow Lane just in case he's got a noodle. Yeah, there's no chance I was letting that Corner Club Gambler draw you cards. I've got some gas in my hand. I'm not super worried about that. That's, I guess, why we put it here.
Swift as the desert wind.
We're going to stack the lanes just because if he has Gambit, they can't take both out. If we move to the field lane, Archer's Gambit would be a kill. So this is going to be a Rage Dagoth. Putting in the Shadow Lane just in case he's got a noodle. Yeah, there's no chance I was letting that Corner Club Gambler draw you cards. I've got some gas in my hand. I'm not super worried about that. Well, let's see what we hit first before we
Of the
decide if we're
rich
gonna run or not.
adapt and survive.
I mean, I don't think getting 2 5/3s out is so bad, right?
We of the rich adapt and survive.
We just put 10 power on the board on turn 5. And we have a Dawnbreaker and a Steel Dagger in our hand. Ice Storm is obviously really crappy here, but it would have to be exactly Ice Storm.
As long as you're here, try to be useful.
Alright, so we could throw a wrench in this plan. There's no prophecy. That worked out pretty well for us.
We stand
Throw
united.
damage. And unless he can remove one of these two, we have lethal next turn. Although we have to worry about the Viper. Or another Sanctuary Pet. He's got a lot of ways to get by this. He's got a Moose. And no card draw Moose, though. Crusader's Assault would not be bad here. Another Orc Clan Captain.
For my kinsmen! Come at me!
Do I really want to sacrifice an Orc Clan Captain and get out Pit Line? I think I probably
We
do.
stand united.
You can't rage anything from hand this turn. That felt real bad throwing him into the wolves over there. I mean, I guess Ice Storm Firebolt is really good for him.
Let's go then. My time
Oh,
is
if that's all you've got, that's game over.
The victory is yours.
Good game, man.
A fine
Alright, so
battle.
Doomfang Ally put in work both games. That's really the only new card that we saw so far. Maybe I'll give this deck another run tomorrow. But obviously, Aggro Crusader is just really good. But I do want to give Unstable Madman and cards like that a shot. I really want to see how they are. So maybe we'll experiment with this just a little bit more. But yeah, that's going to be it for now, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, we'll be back with some more fun stuff tomorrow. Thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.